Once I was a stranger to my God and King, but he saw me there from his throne above, and he sought me and he bought me, and now I sing of a brand new life and his endless love, and how love had a plan for me and a great big family. I'm adopted, love came.
I just wanted to get to at least that one part of the song where he sings, "I'm adopted," and my kids and I, we rock out to that song in the van pretty much almost every day. And that exactly captures what happened right here. We're adopted. And to help me tell the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, I enlisted the help of a couple 8th graders, one of which you might recognize. It's under 3 minutes long here, and here you go.
Except that his name was Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar did come to Judah. Then the king got a bright idea.
I've got a great idea. I'm going to build an enormous image and call all my princes and my governors and my captains and my judges and the sheriff and the counselors and the treasurers and the sheriffs and the rulers of all the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which I, the king, will set up.
And that's exactly what he did.
No, we will not worship your idol.
You refuse? So that is how you repay my kindness. Heat the furnace 7 times harder than ever before, and tie these boys in knots tightly, and throw them into the furnace. Show them no mercy.
The king looked inside the furnace, and then he bent lower to get a better look, because he could not believe what he saw.
That furnace was hot and glowing red. They thought we burned like homemade bread. But we didn't burn, and we didn't burn, and God just smiled and said, "Well done."
It's good, it's good.
I take it back. Everything I said about your God not being able to deliver you. But let us all remember, there is but one God, and we are to be true to him and worship him with everything we have. Or I will try to remember my promise. Now let us all praise God. Your God, the God of God.
My God is God of gods.
Your God, Lord of kings.
My God is Lord of kings.
A revealer of secrets.
A revealer of secrets.
Praise Lord your God.
Praise Lord our God.
Well, I still have that cape. I forgot to bring it here. It's in my girl's dress-up box. But I didn't know one day I'd be played by Micah Chillman. You always wonder if they're going to make your story. But I want to tell you a story, though, that I remember hearing at a chapel 10 years ago, and it was so good I thought it would fit perfectly here. And it's about a group of pioneers, and they're on their way across the plains, to a new hope, a new life, a new beginning. They have all these hopes and dreams and ambitions. And as they go, they're following their wagon leader across these great plains, and they see some smoke off in the distance. And they don't quite know what's going on, so they send out a rider across to check out what it is, and the rider comes back and says, "It's a fire. It's a fire, and it's miles long, and there's no way we can escape it. It's coming at us at a speed that we can't outrun. There's no lakes we can go into, no rivers nearby. We're going to be consumed by this fire." Everyone goes into a panic. There is no escaping this coming death. All of their hopes and dreams, ambitions are all gone now. Except the wagon leader, cool, thinking, understands exactly what to do. And he says, "Start a fire. Start another fire right here where we're standing. Start a fire and we're going to let it go. And the people are confused. But this is no time to argue because the fire is coming. And so they set that fire, and the wind carries that fire on as well and leaves behind a charred area consumed by the fire. And now the wagon leader says, hurry, hop onto that burnt, consumed section of land, hop on there, and everybody scoots their whole wagon train into there. The fire comes, and it passes right over them as if it doesn't even touch them, because the fire can't reburn that burnt ground. And so standing firm in that charred field, they were saved. And they were able to keep on going on their journey towards their new life. And we too are on a journey. And that journey, we're full of hope and dreams and ambitions. We all have these goals for us to set out. And we're excited about getting older too quick sometimes, but we're heading out on this journey. And is there a fire? Yes, there is a fire, and it burns and it rages. And we watch the news, and we live our lives, and these things, these fires come at us, and they want to devour us. And they are going to devour us, except that we have a Savior. We have our leader, Jesus, who comes and dies on the cross. And then when he dies on the cross, that death stains the ground. And Jesus says, come, stand on this burnt soil here. Stand with me, and fires of hell will not touch you. And sometimes that when we go onto that fire, into that burnt area, and we stand there, and the fires are all around us. Sometimes we want to go out and touch that fire. Sometimes I brought a little fire here. It's not live. There it goes. Sometimes we see the fire and we want to go out and touch it because it's so pretty. It's warm, it's glow, it's soft, it's beautiful, and we want to touch it. Sometimes we want to leave that charred section of the cross where Jesus stained the ground with his blood, and we want to go to the edge and touch the fire and let it lick our fingertips and just see what happens. But when we go to the edge, we do end up getting burnt because that small flame soon consumes us. And so we have to back up into that burnt area of Christ. And that burnt area of Christ then is watered by these waters of baptism. The waters spring up new life in that ground that was death. And that is exactly what our baptism is. It's here, I want to back up a second. When Jesus was baptized, those waters were the same waters that are right here. Those waters were the same waters that baptized those 20 students today. And so they are connected now. They are connected by the exact same water that baptized Jesus. And now they are connected to him forever. And as not all of you are baptized, but I'm sure your English teachers, your religion teachers, are telling you about the opportunities to get baptized. And then in the future years, or when you hear other opportunities for this, maybe you consider doing it. And if it's the fear of standing up here, there's other baptisms that are going to be private today, and that just didn't want to be in front of everybody, and those are good too. And so that might be something that you could think about. I like this picture. I remember seeing it when I was a kid. And there you can see this kid walking on this path. He's on a journey. He's taken off his black robe there, that black robe of sin. And there's all of this destruction and death around him. But he doesn't sense it. He doesn't feel it because he's got God's grace shining down on him, steering him delicately through, navigating him to that promised land out there. Bad things do happen. Bad things do happen. But we have not a temporary solution to our problems. We have a permanent solution. I have that picture up in my classroom. I typed it up and I put it up. And every time I remember my pastors in the past saying, if you had a rough day, remember your baptism. And when life's starting to throw darts at you and you just start feeling down, remember your baptism. And when you remember your baptism, it's what you've heard in chapel before. It's not who you are, it's whose you are. And that's what you should remember when you remember your baptism. All of those of you who've been baptized, you remember that. And then you say, you know what? I am a forgiven child of God. Life can be pretty crummy at times, but as a forgiven child of God, I've got something permanent. I've got God who loves me, and that's whose I am. And then whose you are determines who you are. Because now that I know I'm God's, that helps me know this is who I am. I am a forgiven child of God. And I am to go out and find others, and all of you are, when that fire's coming, to say, here, come, stand in this burnt area. Stand with me. The fire's coming around. Your life's pretty crummy too. Come here. Meet Jesus. He took the heat for you. He's hitching up his wagon to ours. He's pulling us into the fire. Into the burnt section that was burnt by fire, and he's saying, come in here. I have this movie clip here because let me back up just 1 second. I remember 2 students walking out of my classroom, and jokingly one was having a hard day, and the one kid said something like, oh, you having a bad day? Remember your baptism. I remember hearing the kid says, every time I see that I get sad because I wasn't baptized. They were joking. I didn't wrestle them to the ground and perform an emergency baptism or anything like that. But I thought, you know what? I should address in here, though, because not everybody is baptized. And what does that mean if you're not baptized? Does that mean you can't be saved? And I want you to see this clip from The Blind Side. And I want you to also think about, if you've seen the movie, who picked whom in this movie? Who picked whom? Did he find out this family, or did the family find him and take him in? Think about that, and try to read the things I wrote on the bottom as you watch.
Well, Leanne and I, we'd like to become your legal guardians. What's that mean?
What it means is that we want to know if you would like to become part of this family.
Kind of thought I already was.
Well, all right then.
Right here.
Got a couple steps.
Watch that big foot.
One more. There you go. Take off the home.
Well, that's the one you wanted, isn't it? Here you go. Go ahead. Take it for a ride. Go on.
He thought he was part of that family all along, and he was. He didn't need adoption papers to make him part of that family. He already was part of that family. But let me ask you, why would he say no? Why would you say no? Think about the looks on their faces of the family if he said, no thanks, I don't need it, I'm good. I don't need a piece of paper to tell me that you love me. He wanted to be part of that. He didn't need it to be part of the family, but it's something he wanted. And that is exactly what baptism is. It's not a burden. It's something that Christ is saying, come out. And you saw how happy that family was. I kind of felt like the mom there, watching these baptisms when she kind of got a little choked up. I thought, this is beautiful. And that's exactly what baptism is. It's a beautiful thing. It's not a necessary thing. That the thief on the cross wasn't baptized. And Jesus said that he was in heaven, and he is. And God is saying, though, he's inviting you and saying, I want you part of my family. I want it in water, that you are mine. And so I want to wrap up with this. Because Jesus was baptized and God said, this is my child, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Remember that at the baptism? Because of that, when God comes to us in our baptisms, he now says, and you can insert your name, he can now say, you, insert your name, are my child, whom I love. With you, insert your name. I am well pleased. Thank you very much.